Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Josh. Welcome to Game 2 of the Grand Finals of the Alpha Navigators Cup Season 0. In the bottom left, fresh off a victory in Game 1, we have TheoRy of the Infernal host. And in the top right, in the red trunks, we have Mixu of the Human Vanguard. Again, Mixu heading out across the map with his little doggy scout, looking to see what damage he can get done. This time we see TheoRy, the Infernal player, opting to build his shrine on the high ground and not go for a iron vault at the same time. The usual nibbling of the dog against the imps pursues. We see a little back and forth. This is just to cause a little bit of annoyance. See, the imps can't mine as effectively as they want to. And the dog will now head out across the map, do a little bit of scouting, see if there's any proxy buildings anywhere, see if the Infernal player is being a little sneaky. But ultimately, behind all this, our Vanguard player is looking to do a fast expand with that Bob overcharge. TheoRy is also looking to expand, and they also have their first gaunt out, so their intentions are probably to start heading out with gaunts and creeping on the map, building up their fiend production. Dog is looking about a little more, probably looking for resources on this map. Certain plants give resources when you attack them. Here come two gaunts out now, and we'll start to see the first creeping of the game in the speed camp. This looks like we're going to get two barracks coming out of our Vanguard player straight away, probably looking to be very aggressive off the back of this expansion. Looking to try and punish our Infernal player. Something that Mixu didn't achieve in the last game is any lasting or any significant economic damage. And off the back of this, with our two barracks and our tech building here, we're probably going to see mass lancers in the early game. Here's our first lancer with that kinetic redirect ability that makes them so strong early on, and with our Infernal player going for a fast third expansion, and we'll probably see that they may have less defenses than they might otherwise have, so this could be quite effective, cracking open this vent to start the Therium production early and have a nice healthy amount of Therium available for Mixu to mine. So advance the meat farm here to give a little bit of warning in case an attack is coming, and the lancers start to sally forth over the map with the dog leading the charge to give a little bit of extra scouting. This is looking like a little chunky army here from the Infernal player, but all of these units are fairly susceptible to heavy damage from the lancers. Our lancers, instead of heading for that health camp, are instead going to pick up the resource camp, add a little bit of money to the coffers of the Vanguard player, and more Vanguards stream out over the map. Another barrack is being built. This truly is going to be a very aggressive timing push alongside the researcher kinetic redirect being researched. The fiends come out. They do see the lancers. I don't know if he got wind of how many lancers there are. He might not be aware of how heavily committed our Vanguard player is here. It looks like there was a little jostle back and forth to try and claim the last hit on that resource camp, but it's hard to say if our Vanguard or Infernal player got that last hit, but someone did, is all that I can say in this early build of the closed beta. And our lancers move forward. this will be a great staging ground. The health camp, so that Lancers can return to heal after being damaged in the oncoming melee from between the two players. Some towers are being built here by TheoRy, so he must be aware that heavy Lancer pressure is coming. And look at the sheer amount of Lancers here. The first tower is destroyed, a warning sign for TheoRy. He looks to put pressure onto the second tower. The Brute marches forward. Every time that these units get hit, they become more powerful, they become more fast, and they have extra defenses. The Gaunts are trapped in a corner, and they get cut down. This Brute is marched out to meet the Lancers. So far, this tower on the high ground is doing a great job at deterring the Lancers, but there's only so many ground forces here, and this expansion is in serious danger of being shut down. This battle's still going on over on the right hand side. The Brute splits into two Fiends, which effectively takes down one of the Lancers. There's been very little casualties from the Vanguard side. A super tower gets dropped, and that should pick up another Lancer. Importantly, one of the unique mechanics of the Vanguard is veterancy. You see the chevrons next to the health bars on these units. That indicates that they have increased experience from being in combat, and that veterancy is sustained throughout the entire match. So the longer they stay alive, the better for the Vanguard player. We did see a Doombringer pop back across the map. I'm not sure if there was a bit of a drop that was going on in the background of all of this. If there was, it looks like it was successfully fended off, and the Doombringer is currently being used to rally Weavers down from the high ground to the low ground. None of the Lancers have yet gone down, and there's a lot of damage going on here. The Weaver are very effective against Lancers who are tanky and have a lot of health, but so far TheoRy doesn't look to have an answer to this mass Lancer play. Another Lancer goes down from a yoink from the Weaver there, pulling him in. But none of them seem to be dying here, and this is starting to look very dire from the Infernal player. In the background, you can see that our Vanguard player is looking to capitalize on this pressure by building an extra expansion and a fourth expansion in the center of the map, which is very lucrative. There's lots of juicy resources there to be mined. Continuing pressure from the Vanguard player. I did see a Bob pop over. There's a second Bob here. I wonder if that's to build apologies, a sentry post here. Looking to stand still for a second, maybe just a wartime reporter seeing what's going on. This must be a bad rally point from our Vanguard player here, because they are starting to run back now, and there's two Bobs here. But this is the usefulness of this health camp being used to bring our Vanguard player back up to full health. This rally point needs to be fixed from Mixu. This is becoming problematic. All the hard work of building these 4 bases, and they're not even mined from as the Bobs are chilling, setting up a campsite in front of the Infernal perimeter. That's a lot of damage inflicted from the Vanguard player, and now he looks to, instead of marching into the meat grinder, capitalize on this map control, get some additional resources from the creep camps. Doesn't opt to finish this vision camp, which I do find surprising. That would be very useful to help understand the situation of the Infernal player. We do see a Flame on Imp drop from the Doombringer, and that's a lot of damage on the workers. This is exactly what TheoRy needs to start to come back into the game. He is behind economically, only sitting on 3 bases with no real option of pushing out to create a... The Doombringer does fall there. That's a poor bit of control. There's no option for him to push out onto the map and get another base, so he has to sit on these 3 bases now and try and do whatever harassment he can do until he can force the Vanguard player back from this position. Force some map control back into his favor. Look how fast the Lancers are. It's hit and run tactics here from the Vanguard as he pushes on the 3rd base, adds more pressure with the Exos, which is the new unit of choice for him post Lancer. Infernal looks to be able to gain a beachhead here, but the Exos are very strong. They also have their upgrade now. Every time they shoot, they become slightly stronger, and this infernal expeditionary force is forced out. The Flame on Imps charge the Exos. They only last 4 seconds before they explode in that mode, and unfortunately they don't find any connections. This is looking very dire for our infernal player right now, as the human vanguard march ever forth into the territory of infernal now in the gap between the two bases. More flame on imps coming out, see if they can get a good connection. That's much better, but there is no lasting damage. He really wants to catch this exo clump of units here, who are the damage dealers in this army now. The lancers, oh, that's a massive hit from the imps. As I was about to say, the lancers are the tanky units in this bunch, but here comes that infest, seeing if it can catch any stragglers. It does catch a few, but I'm not sure they're going to get vanquished from that. As our vanguard player looks to step back, maybe take the health camp again to continue some sustainability. Not looking to push into med techs just yet. We do see a bit of a tech switch from our vanguard player in the back behind all of this. And the game slows down ever so slightly. We're going to see another expansion from the vanguard player right now, as our infernal player continues to remain stuck on just the 3 bases. It is very much advantage Mixu right now, as he does a much better job this time around of keeping the infernal player under pressure, not letting them get too far ahead. The Doombringer drops from TheoRy as more Flame on Imps look to make a better connection that time. That's a lot of damage from the Flame on Imps. That's exactly the kind of damage that TheoRy needs. There's still no major economic damage here from Vanguard, but if he continues to keep the Flame on Imps to capture some more Exos there in their mass explosions. If Mixu does manage to contain our infernal player on 3 bases, that's enough economic damage. This is a very strong position for him to be in. The medtechs now in the 4, adding extra sustainability to those front lines. The super tower gets dropped, but that will quickly be demolished. More flame on imps coming out. All these units were fairly clamped, which is a good situation for the flame on imps. But unfortunately, TheoRy realizes that all of this is hopeless and decides to GG out of the game. That ties the scores up 1-1 for Mixu and TheoRy now. A very dominant display from an early rush from our Vanguard player, putting on the early pressure and never really taking his foot off the pedal. And that was a very excellent game from him. It's exciting to see what's going to happen in Game 3, showing that these two players can go toe-to-toe in a battle. That's been me. This has been Game 2 of the Grand Final of the Alpha Navigators Cup Season 0. If you liked what you see and enjoy my commentary style, please give me a like and subscribe. I'm going to be looking to complete all of the games in this series and see what the thrilling conclusion of this all is. And until next time, thank you very much, guys.